I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Danny.
And this is another episode of Why Can't We Talk About It? Today, we have a great episode lined up for you. We're wrapping up the year and we're going to get into our New Year's resolutions for 2023. But before we dive in, as always, Danny, how are you doing? And do you have a reco for me this week?
Yes, I do. So I'm doing great. I actually had a nice quick workout today.
Nice.
Before we jumped on the podcast recording.
What did you do?
It's a bit of exercises for my knee because I don't know if I talked about it, but I did have knee surgery a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I am still in the midst of trying to work on that and get back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing that almost every day. And recently I decided to get back to throwing a bit of weightlifting as well.
Nice.
It's been nice. But I don't know about you, but there's part of me that enjoys that soreness the next day or two.
For sure.
Because it does kind of tell me like, hey, I did something. And that feels nice.
The hurt's so good.
Yes, exactly. So I was doing that. However, for today's reco, I think it's maybe fitting because it's a New Year's resolutions episode. I have a food item.
Okay.
To reco today. I guess it's going to be easy for Jocelyn to see, but unfortunately for our listeners. My reco is this thing. It's called turtle chips.
Turtle chips. Is this from Costco? This box is huge.
So this is actually from TNT.
Okay.
So I was at TNT recently. I saw this on sale. It's on sale as well. It is a corn-based chip flavored. It's a bit sweet and it's a bit savory, but it's really good.
Is it like corn pop cereal? Do you remember those? Did you ever have that?
Corn pop? No. Like these are layered chips. They're like little pieces, but they're layered. Like 4 layers per piece or something like that.
Yum.
It's really good. I usually eat like 1 bag per sitting with these.
Is it layered with anything in between, or it's just layered for texture
I think
purposes?
it's just layered for texture. So on here,
and so that it looks like a cute little turtle.
Yeah, kind of like a turtle shell. Yeah. So I don't know if it's sold anywhere else. I've yet to see it anywhere outside of TNT. So I guess if I ever find it anywhere else, I'll let people know. But for anyone who has access to the TNT grocery store, it's a Asian grocery store. It is sold there. And I do enjoy chips in general. I'm a big chip fan. Obviously, this one I just mentioned. But I think I like either like lightly salted, ketchup flavored, sour cream and onion, all dressed. Those are my kind of flavors. So I enjoy those. But I just thought I'd recommend this one because it's a bit of a rare find. Although I have to give credit. I only found out about it because one of my friends, Jenny, was the one to introduce it to our friends group. So thanks to her, we all tried some and we really enjoy it.
Thanks, Jenny. We love a good reco for snackies.
Yeah. Are you a big chip person?
Anything made from potatoes, I'm a fan of.
Oh, nice. Wait.
So chips included.
So that means you're a big fries person.
They're my favorite food.
Do you like poutine?
I love poutine.
Over fries? Like regular fries?
Poutine are fries. If I had to choose.
Yeah.
As a purist, I think I would go for the fries.
I see.
You're so disappointed. I'll have both. Okay,
yeah,
give me my cake and eat it too.
All right.
Give me my poutine and fries and I'll eat it all.
All right, very nice. What about you for this week?
My reco is a little bit out there, but it's a deck of tarot cards I'm going to show you.
Okay.
And for me specifically, I have the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck, but I just think anybody should have a tarot deck, like any type. It doesn't have to be like this specific one, although we'll link to this as well as Danny's turtle chips in the show notes. But tarot cards are... Do you know what tarot is, Danny?
I know of them. I've had somebody do like a tarot reading one time for me, but I don't actually exactly know what it is still.
Yeah, I think people associate it with like fortune telling, right? Like
Yes.
a fortune teller will use this deck of cards, which each card has a different symbol on it, like the Hanging Man or the Queen of Pentacles, or different symbols that are supposed to tell you this is what's coming up in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But they also work kind of as just, I'm very woo-woo, but they can kind of work as a guide to maybe give you what you need. So what I've been doing is I keep it by my nightstand. And if the mood hits and I'm like, I just need a little affirmation. Like, what's going on in the universe right now? What does the universe have in store for me tomorrow? I pull a card out and it will give me sort of like a little affirmation or a little bit of wisdom to follow. So I'm going to pull a card for you over this call.
Okay. Virtual reading. Nice.
Virtual tarot deck. We're going to do it like this. Tell me when to stop. I am holding the deck up for Danny and I'm moving my finger. Tell me when to stop.
And stop.
Okay, I'm going to pull this card. And this is what the universe is telling you that you need. Okay, Danny, you have pulled the Two of Wands.
Two of what?
The Two of Wands.
Okay.
So we're going to look up what the Two of Wands is. And you can tell me if you relate to this or if it's going to give you a little bit of inspiration.
This is great timing given our episode, eh?
I know, right? Maybe this will help you set your New Year's resolution. Okay, so this is what the Two of Wands looks like. So Danny can see it is an image of a man standing on sort of like the edge of a balcony looking over, and there are two wands in the corner. So according to my tarot book, and we pulled it upright. When I pulled it up, it wasn't upside down. I pulled it upright. So apparently that matters. So what you have in your life at the moment, or maybe what you need, is focus, decisions, discovery, and planning.
Yeah, that sounds like overall correct.
Okay.
It's a need?
Yeah, the universe is telling you like this is what will be helpful for you.
Ah, okay. So like some direction.
Seems like it.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I think that would be helpful for me. So what difference does it make if you had pulled that card upside down?
Oh.
Is the opposite? Would it have been the opposite?
I'll read it out to you.
Oh, okay.
It is overconfidence, stunted, undetermined, and blocked.
Ooh.
So maybe like, okay, we got to overcome that. That's what the universe is serving up. That's the energy you're putting out there. Not good.
Okay.
Got to change that.
Okay.
So
first part sounds better.
Yeah. So it's just a little bit of fun. Like, why not, right? You know me. When Danny and I used to work together, I would read out the horoscopes for our whole team, which there were only 4 of us. So don't worry, I wasn't getting crazy. But I would read out all of our horoscopes. And it's kind of just like a fun way to start the day. It's just a way to reset.
Yeah, I think we all look forward to that as well.
So get a tarot deck if you're, it's past Christmas now, but if you're late with getting anybody a gift, take advantage of those Boxing Day sales. Go find a tarot deck and maybe get one for yourself or get one as like a white elephant gift.
Or a birthday gift.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
That's my reco for you.
Okay, thank you for that. Much appreciated.
All right. So today we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. And like so many things, Danny and I have completely different approaches to New Year's resolutions. So what I'm going to do is share my process for how I put them together, as well as maybe share a few that I have for next year. But before I jump in, Danny, let's contrast. You tell me your approach to New Year's resolutions.
Okay, so the fact that you said you're going to share your process, that's already the opposite because there is no process coming from this guy. What I would say is, so my relationship to New Year's resolutions has evolved over the years. And I would say that when I was probably younger, like we're talking like high school, university age. And even when I first started working, there was a time where New Year's resolutions was something that, like, yeah, I would probably set one for myself. Sometimes I wouldn't necessarily tell people about it, but sometimes I would if I'm being asked, or I just kind of have one for myself. And typically, when I have set those resolutions, it was typically around any kind of fitness or health related items. I typically don't think I really ventured out in that way. I wasn't someone who said, hey, next year I'm going to read 50 books. Those aren't, the kind of resolutions that I set. It was more like, I want to get fit for next year. I want to eat healthier. I want to try and cut down on all the soda pop that I drink, cut down on the sugar that I take in. And unfortunately, every single time that I have set a resolution of some sort, it never comes to fruition. It would be something where maybe I think the most I went for, maybe a month, and it would just kind of just wane and just kind of slide off. And then I'll just kind of stop and I go, okay, well, maybe next year. And then by next year, same thing. So that was how I used to do things. However, I would say in recent years, that's kind of changed. I felt maybe that's not the best way to go about it for me. I thought if I was to keep putting out these resolutions, it kind of meant that there was some kind of expectation that I had to hit. Whereas I thought, well, what if I just had tried to incorporate these things on like a daily lifestyle thing? Make it more of a lifestyle instead of a arbitrary, it must be January 1st, and then it's going to have to, I start doing this. Because that's literally how I would do it. I would set it for January 1st. So leading up to the new year, I'd be like, nope, I'm just going to go all out, eat whatever I want, do whatever I want. And then for some reason, I think that a switch will be flipped. And by January 1st, I would completely do a 180 and change everything about myself. And I think that was how I failed spectacularly every year. And so I think that's why I've kind of stopped. And even as we speak, I'm debating, should I even have a resolution for 2023? So maybe by the end of the episode, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think it's great that you recognize that and you've evolved to say, you know what, setting these arbitrary goals that are kind of unrealistic from the sounds of it aren't really going to help me in any sort of meaningful way. I am curious though, do you derive any satisfaction from like measuring your progress? Like if you have set more of like a lifestyle goal versus a New Year's resolution, at any point do you kind of reflect and say, hey, there was this one point last year where I wanted to do X and I feel like I've come a long way? Or how do you take a look at your goals from that point of view?
I would say not really. I don't think that's really how it kind of works for me. I actually really don't know why. I don't know, because all those times I have done that. But in general, I think, and this again, I think this contrasts you and I, is a lot of the stuff that I do is more like what comes to me, instead of me saying like, okay, I'm going to be doing this, this, and this, and then I'm going to work towards it, and I can look back on that later. I don't feel like those things kind of work that way for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't feel like it applies.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
So I would say that I used to set New Year's resolutions in a similar fashion to you when I was younger, like maybe in high school or maybe even early 20s, where I'd say, and this is something I recognized from what you said, is I want to be healthier or I want to do X. And they wouldn't really be like specific goals. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say I want to exercise 4 times a week or something really easy to measure. I would just sort of like put very vague resolutions out there. And I think that would set me up for failure because I wasn't really clear on what I was trying to achieve. So I don't do it that way anymore. The way that I set my goals is I try to envision where I want to be this time next year? Like, who is Jocelyn in December 2023? I try to get into that headspace of like, what do I feel like? What have I achieved that has helped me feel this way? What are the things I would need to do to become that version of myself? And then I work backwards. So, yeah, that has worked a lot better for me. And I kind of go through different facets of my life, like kind of segmenting it into like career and relationships and personal development. I kind of like go through the different facets and see if I want to set a goal for each one of those. And then I do make it very easy to measure. So just going back to that health and fitness example, I don't use a number on the scale because that's just not healthy. It's not good for my mental health. But moving my body and exercising is such an important part of my life. I'm definitely at my best if I am working out 4 to 5 times a week. That's like the sweet spot for me. So one of my New Year's resolutions is to do that, to work out 4 to 5 times a week. And a little bit further is to try 2 to 3 new types of workouts. So I'm a creature of habit. I also love weightlifting. I use Fitness Blender videos on YouTube, and I have adjustable weights, and I just do it in my apartment. I don't like going to the gym, but I love doing Fitness Blender weightlifting routines. And so for a long time, I would just do that and go for walks. But during the pandemic, I actually started exploring new workouts like the Fitness Marshals dance videos. I love those. They're so much fun. They're so great. I also just tried kickboxing, which I also love, and it's a really good core and upper body workout, which I didn't realize. So I'm glad I tried those. I'm not the type of person who normally would, because going back to what you said earlier, I know that weightlifting works. I know that it like gives me that hurt so good feeling. So why would I try something else? Like I like getting the most efficient workout possible. So that's a goal, is work out 4 to 5 times a week and try 2 to 3 new exercises in 2023.
So a couple questions. The first one is, when you talk about goals, given the topic of today, is it synonymous for resolutions, or how does that work in terms of, let's say you set a few resolutions for next year, and then do you also have like goals throughout the year too? Like, do you separate the two, or is it all the same?
Yeah, I use the term synonymously. I think that it's helpful for me to set them at the beginning of the year just to give it a time frame, right?
Okay.
I actually do have a couple New Year's resolutions, or I guess in this case, it would make more sense to use the word goal because it can't be achieved in just 1 year, but I can measure the progress of like, how far am I to getting to that place for that particular goal that I've set? What did I do this year to get there?
Right. Okay. And I guess the follow-up question is, and I think this is where one of the issues that I had for myself, if I was to set resolutions or goals where I say something like, okay, I'm going to work out and I'm going to do it 4 times a week. And then maybe I will for a little bit. But then once I don't, it's a really big letdown for me, because for me, I think I've not even setting as a goal. It's a resolution. It's a big deal. And to not hit that, I think it's such a disappointment and letdown that I go, well, there goes that. And so I think that's part of why I've kind of ventured away from it. And so I'm wondering for you, well, you can also tell me that you hit all your resolutions, but if you don't, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. There are weeks where I know that I'm not going to do 4 to 5 workouts. Life happens, but I don't see it as a big detractor. Like, I don't let it put me into that mindset where I'm like, well, I may as well just give up then. I think I am pretty good at saying it was a bad week, not a bad year. I'm going to try again next week and see if I hit it. Or something I used to do, this is specific to fitness, but man, the days where we used to have to commute into the office 5 days a week and I would try to get workouts in, if I got home past a certain time because there was a train delay or something, it was just so easy to be like, you know what, I'm too tired. I can't fit in a 45-minute workout. I'm just not going to do it at all. I think the kind of mindset I'm in now is I would just try to get in a 10-minute workout. Like I would try to do a 5-minute workout. I'm much more of the mindset of like any little bit of progress counts. I'm not going to do all or nothing. I'm a lot kinder to myself in that respect.
Okay, yeah, the all or nothing, I think that's where I used to be as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think even for me lately, it's been a lot better. I'm like, well, if I do it, I do it. If I don't, it's fine. I'll just try maybe tomorrow or something like that. But I think that was the mentality and attitude I had in the past, especially with resolutions where it was, okay, either I do it or I don't.
Yeah.
So as a quick example, even when I did kind of succeed back in the day when P90X was a big deal, which is like mid 2008, 2009 or something like that, I remember I was like, okay, 90 days, I can do it. And I remember I worked out for 27 days straight. And then the 28th day, I was like, I'm actually just really tired. I don't know.
I wonder why.
I don't know if I can do the 28th day. And even though I thought that I could maybe go back to it, there's something about the fact that I missed that one day and I go, oh, I messed up all the 90 days. I can't continue anymore. It was a very all or nothing. And that was probably something that I kind of worked through as well through therapy. I'll like maybe not directly in this way, but through other means to get me to a point where I can be like, no, you know what's fine. Even if I say today I was to try that again and I said, okay, I can do it in 90 days. If I miss some, I know that I can just continue on. It's not, oh, either I do it or I don't. But I wonder, and I guess that's a question for you too. Obviously, a lot of people don't have resolutions, or if they do, they don't necessarily meet the resolutions. Have you ever thought about why that is? Or actually, before we get to that, if you were to say for your resolutions and goals, how often would you say you reach them versus when they don't work out?
I think I almost always reach them.
Wow. Okay.
But that's because that sounds so annoying. But listen, like I just said, I'm going to say work out 4 to 5 times a week. And if I miss one, I'm not going to be like, I did not hit that resolution. Because the way I see it is the Jocelyn I'm envisioning in 2023 is healthy, confident, and has good mental health because she has committed to spending X number of hours a week working out. So if I have made it to that point where I still feel like I have good mental health and I feel healthy because I spent the majority of those weeks working out 4 to 5 times a week, then I'm going to feel like I hit it. There have been some times where you gave the example of reading 50 books a year. There was one year where I set my goal. I always set a goal of reading books. That's just because I love to read and it's just fun for me to measure it on my Goodreads account. But I set a goal of 40 books and I fell short and I was so upset. So I can see that, like it can be demotivating. And sometimes when I look at my Goodreads and see that I didn't hit it that year, it's upsetting. But what it did teach me is I needed to be more realistic with the goal that I set. And also, I realized that I wasn't reading as much because, especially on Goodreads, it's public. So people can see what you're adding to your challenge. So I was like, oh, I must read good literature. And so I wasn't reading as much. This year and last year, I've blown through my reading goals because I have allowed myself to read whatever I want. I set my Goodreads to private. Nobody can see what I'm reading. And I have read so much shit, like bad stuff that I don't need to tell anybody about. I still read. And I'm at 53 books for the year right now.
Whoa.
And I'm probably going to finish at least 1 or 2 before the new year rings in.
I I think I read 5 to 10 books this year, maybe. I think.
That's pretty good. Azim has read, like, one time it took him, I think, a good 3 years to read The Count of Monte Cristo. Good for him, though, right? You know, he just kept returning to it and he eventually finished it. But he was tracking of 0.3 books per year. So 5 to 10, that's pretty good, Danny.
Did he know there was a movie?
How dare you?
I'm just asking. Maybe he didn't know. And he's reading his whole time. He's like, oh man, that's like 3 years of my life gone. All of a sudden he's like, hey, what's that on TV? Oh my goodness. It's a movie.
As in most cases, the book is always better than the movie, okay?
That is true. I was just curious. Okay, so it does sound like from what you just said too, is like you do set goals or resolutions in which they are probably attainable so that the likelihood of you being able to, I guess, meet it, I guess, is a higher likelihood compared to, I guess, what you sometimes did or you may have done in the past where you put in something that was a bit too unrealistic. And I guess that's something also maybe that takes experience for you to kind of figure it out, because if you don't set it, how would you know it's attainable or not?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely do stretch a little, like to get out of my comfort zone. Otherwise, what's the point, right? But I don't do something crazy like work out 6 times a week and look like a bodybuilder, or else you're a failure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's that kind of taking it a bit far. So, okay. Because of this episode, I wanted to find out if there was any like statistics or surveys about people when it comes to resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, I think there was one actually that came out just a couple of days ago. And this one actually was a survey that was done just for Canadians, but I think it gives, I guess, a sample idea of what people think about when it comes to resolutions. So, we can take a look at this because I'm curious what you think about it. So this is for Canadians, and it basically said that on average, Canadians make about, it says 1.7 resolutions each year, and about 61.9% find resolutions beneficial. Now, this survey, I think, was across the country, but 29% said their aim is to improve their personal fitness and nutrition for 2023. And 22.3% of respondents stated that they are planning to reach their financial goals by saving money, budgeting, and investing. And apparently for the survey, surprisingly, only 3.9% of people in the survey are interested in learning a new skill. And then even less, 3.7%, said they're looking to get rid of bad habits, including smoking, drinking, and I guess other vices. And I think even some 2.9% are looking for some spiritual growth. And then I apparently fall into this category. About 14% of Canadians welcome the new year without setting any resolutions at all. And for those who do, almost 70% fail to stick with their resolutions.
70.
Yeah, it's a pretty high number. I'm like, oh, yep, I'm in that number. And this last part, I guess they asked people, they said, hey, why do you fail to keep your New Year's resolutions? 48% said it's the reason being lack of motivation. And about 15% said they just forgot they had a resolution. And then for about 12%, they said losing track of their progress on the actual resolution throughout the year was the reason that it failed. So I found that interesting, and that's a recent thing that came out from CTV News. But it does kind of, I think, go through the gambit of those who do, those who don't, and everything in between. I personally, when reading this though, I guess with all the resolutions that I've done in the past, they're all fitness, health based. I guess I've never really looked at things like, making sure I want to learn a new skill or some kind of financial goal. Or even, I guess, actually, no, I did say I want to get rid of habits. That one I did count as. But there's definitely areas where I go, you know what? I never thought about using resolutions for those type of things. And I'm wondering what your thoughts on that. And are your resolutions tend to be a certain theme as well?
Yeah, so like I said, I go through each facet of my life and set a goal depending on where I see myself in a year. So I don't tend to have any that are habits I want to break. I think I'm thinking about next year adding one about screen time. I haven't decided 100% yet on that, but that would be an example of one I would add. But I have learned a new skill. That's definitely one. I'll go through mine. I'll share some of mine. But one thing that you said that I wanted to expand on, and this is part of my process, is including a way to track my resolutions, to stick to them. So I am going to share a link to a blog post I wrote about this awesome planner I love. It's called the Mall Planner. It's not sponsored. They did send it to me, which I thought was very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just loved it so much. It was a planner that essentially helped you lay out your goals. And then each day, it didn't take long to fill out, which is why I found it easy to stick to. But it had some prompts to help you fill in. Like it did have, what are you grateful for? And that's just very good for my mental health. It's like narrowing in on something I'm grateful for. But it had some other prompts to like help you track your progress on tasks and goals. So I found that really, really helpful. I don't use it anymore because I found Notion, which Danny is familiar with because we use Notion to help us plan our content for our podcast. But I also use it in my personal life to help with my goal setting. I use it for grocery lists. I use it to plan content for my blog. I use it to track what packages I've bought on the internet and when they're arriving. I literally use it for everything. Wow. So I do also use it to help me track my progress and have a visual habit tracker, an inspiration board. It helps me a lot with my resolutions. So I'm not surprised that the reason why a lot of people give up is because they don't track it. You have to have an active process in place to stick to it.
Right. I was just thinking while you're just saying that, I'm not sure if this is accurate, but of all the episodes we've done so far, I feel like this one so far really showcases the contrast between you and I. Just the way we go about things, the way we like set goals or even have goals. It's just so different. And it's cool. It's just like just noticing it. But for some reason, talking about goals for this episode and the way we kind of approach things, just for me, highlights the differences. But what I really enjoy so far, though, is the fact that I get to hear somebody talk about something in a way that is so different from me. And the main upside is really that I get to learn from you on different processes and different approaches. And I imagine that for people who are listening too, that's part of the reason they listen. So I'm grateful that you are doing that for us.
Oh, I'm grateful to you too, Danny, because I like seeing the other side of it. And it's also a good reminder for me to be a little less stringent sometimes with certain things. Sometimes in my Notion, I have an agenda for the week. And even though like past days have gone by and I may not have ticked everything off, I like will clear everything off my plate and address that task right away just so I can cross off the to-do list. Because I'm crazy like that. Or that one time, I know I told you, I really wanted to work out a certain number of times that week, but I had somebody coming to visit, so I thought it would be a good idea to do like a few really intense like HIIT and weight workouts back to back, and injured myself. Just I can push it too much. I can be a little bit crazy. But anyway, one last part of my process, and this might be a good place for us to wrap it up, is after I visualize the goals, set them, have a way to track them, I like being held accountable. So I don't share all of my goals. Some of them are quite personal, but I will share them with like Azim, for instance. And I thought it would be fun to share a few on this podcast. And then this time next year, if we do like New Year's resolutions 2.0 or like end of year check-in, we can see where I'm at. Does that sound like fun?
That sounds like fun.
Okay, you can keep me accountable or our listeners can keep me accountable.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Yeah. Let us
Okay.
know.
Okay, so the first one is to travel 1 to 2 times. I am always my most creative and happiest when I've planned a trip or have gone on a trip and come back and have experienced something new and soaked up those experiences. So the years where I have been able to be fortunate enough to include at least one trip are the better years.
Mhm.
So I have travel 1 to 2 times on there.
Okay.
Okay. The second one is, I've already shared this, but move my body 4 to 5 times a week and try 2 to 3 new types of fitness.
Okay.
I have become fluent in French. So I know that's hard to measure. I'm not saying like understand 80% of the French language, but become fluent. For me, what that means is I'll be able to have a conversation easily with a native speaker
Mhm.
and be able to speak back. Right now, I'm close to that. Like I can understand. But yeah, next year, je parlerai couramment le français. I will speak fluently.
Ah, nice.
I also have read 40 books.
Okay.
See, I'm being realistic. This year I hit 52.
Right.
I'm not going to, if I was old Jocelyn, I'd be like, read 60, read
Yeah.
75.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to push it too high, but I do still want to incorporate a lot of reading into my life. So if I hit 40, that's great. And then the last one is to use some type of app or visualization system to document my wardrobe. So that's going to take a while because I have quite a big wardrobe.
Mhm.
But the reason why I want to do that is because I want to start wearing more of my outfits again. I don't necessarily want to do like more fashion blog posts. Those take so long to put together. I hate Instagram. We all know that. But I do think it would be cool. I saw a YouTuber I really like. Her name is Anna. She has a channel called The Anna Edit. And she just downloaded this app. It's called Wearing, WHERING, the Wearing app, where you take a picture of literally every item in your wardrobe and you can document what you wear each day. Or I think there's a feature where you can even like have it choose outfits for you. Like you like say, dress me, and it can like pick out pieces that you've documented. And another reason why it's helpful is because it shows you how much of your wardrobe you're actually wearing. Because like a lot of people, this didn't used to be me. I used to wear like my whole wardrobe. Danny, you can attest to this. I used to come into work wearing like
Yeah.
different stuff all the time. You never knew what I was going to show up in. But post-pandemic, I'm in the same like leggings and sweater pretty much all the time. And I want to get back to more creative outfits because, again, that's the Jocelyn that I want to be
Mhm.
in a year from now. And I think a very concrete goal like that, setting that type of like visualization system. I'm going to check out the Wearing app actually. Like maybe I can, in a future episode, I'll see if I recommend it. It's going to take a long time though to
Yeah.
document everything. So yeah, if I can get it done this year and start using it, then I'll be happy.
Okay. Those are, I think those are definitely all measurable or quantifiable and accountable resolutions and goals for 2023. Nice.
Y'all hold me to them.
Yeah, definitely by this time next year, I'm pretty sure we are going to check back on that. I'm pretty sure there's certain things that we can always check back on in future episodes as well in general. So it'd be nice to get updates, I think, every once in a while for some of the things that we talk about. So I think this will be one of them. So thank you for sharing that. And I would say that as we approach the end of this episode, I have decided that I probably won't be putting in resolutions for 2023. I'm not saying...
Danny,
I'm not
I'm going to challenge you. Let's do one resolution for the podcast. We don't have to decide it right now. We're literally like, I'm not going to make you do a resolution live for the podcast, but we should do one. We should do a joint one for Why Can't We Talk About It?
Oh, like a joint one. So joint one where So this is interesting because I think a joint one where somebody else is there, or I guess part of it, it feels very different than me saying, oh, I'm going to throw in a goal resolution for just myself. That's very different because I think that's the same thing as one thing we talked about when we even started this podcast, where I said, I don't know if this would have actually worked if you weren't either involved or if you didn't support it the way that you did. I think this was just an idea that I had, but I don't think if anyone knew about it and I was just letting it sit in my head, I don't necessarily think that would have actually happened. So I don't know if a resolution maybe work different if it was for the purposes of this podcast. I don't even know where to start in terms of for the podcast. Obviously, if I had to say a resolution, I would say we continue making sure that we do it once a week. I'm just throwing this out there. I could edit this if I want to. But yeah, there's something where maybe it's not for 2023, but I would like to see one day that a podcast for this becomes maybe not just audio, maybe it becomes video as well. That could be more of a bigger, longer term goal, but that's a goal, I think.
I like it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a 2023 thing, but I guess I could throw that in there as a resolution at some point in the future, that it will happen, or I would like it to happen.
You know what will help you get there?
What?
Our listeners, if you can support the podcast, which you already do, we love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. But if you can go on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen and rate the podcast or even leave a comment, that would mean so much to us, and it would help other people find the podcast. So if the podcast grows, it might be good motivation for Danny to hit his resolution.
Yes.
Our joint resolution. So thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. And we are taking a little bit of a break for the end of the year, just so that we can work on some more content and recharge and give our best selves to you and to Why Can't We Talk About It starting in January. So this is a great time for you to go back and listen to any episodes you may have missed if you're behind. We wish you the very best of holidays. We hope that you get lots of rest and time with loved ones, and we'll see you next year.
Yes, thank you very much to everyone who's been listening so far, and we do look forward to another year of podcasting. So I just want to wish everyone a happy new year, all the best and all the well wishes, and we will talk to you again really soon.
Bye.
Bye.